So if I had to share kind of the one thing or the primary thing that really keeps my work and life balance, I think if I had to sum it up, it would be something like flexibility within structure. What I mean by that is, for example, I set a general plan for how many hours I might work each week, for example, and I'll leave room for things to shift. I'll actually literally block out times in my calendar for flexibility. And it's that kind of structure plus flexibility that helps me, I think, stay grounded and without feeling overwhelmed or behind when plans change, because inevitably they will. The other thing I also think a lot about is how to make work feel more like life. And what I mean by that is, for example, if I have to travel somewhere for work, I will try and meet up with a friend in that city. And if I don't know anybody in that city, I'll look on my LinkedIn to see if there's somebody within my network that maybe I haven't really gotten to know. And I ask to share a meal with them. And my whole intention is to get to know them better or to catch up. It's really not to sell work, but inevitably, they will ask me about what it is I do. And sometimes things will come from it and sometimes they don't. And that's okay. Or I will try to create some meaningful or fun little experience that's local in that place that I'm visiting. And I think it's a small way to kind of make a trip feel like it's mine and not just business, right? So I think for me, balance doesn't come from kind of rigid routines. It comes from building just enough structure to guide me and enough freedom to make space for joy. So one of my, I think, biggest lessons that I have learned as a solo entrepreneur is that you don't actually have to do it alone. Yes, you're running a business on your own, but that doesn't mean it has to be lonely. There are a lot of communities, networks, I think generous people that are willing to share and collaborate and help you grow as you are going through this business journey. And hopefully, this community you feel is one of them. But some of my best opportunities really have come from partnering, I think, with some established individuals and companies. And while it isn't always easy to get those partnerships, but if there is alignment, and of course it takes clear communication and work, but they can really open doors that you couldn't reach on your own. I think about one of my very successful partnerships that continues to this day. That the first year I started my own consulting practice, I reached out to somebody that I admired, somebody who's been established in this space. I reached out to her on Twitter and wanted to see if they would collaborate with me on something. And to my surprise and pleasure, they said yes. And so, definitely take the chance. The answer is always no if you don't ask, right? The other thing that I think a lot about as a solo entrepreneur is that how important relationships are. I think relationships are everything. Most of my opportunities come through people that I've built trust with, right? People who value the work, who want to see me succeed. I've also learned so much from collaborating with other solo entrepreneurs. And I think you grow faster when you work alongside others. And then finally, I think just a reminder, if this hasn't come through in any of my other sessions or my other talks in this course, it's really a reminder that I have to tell myself often, which is you don't have to do it all, right? You don't have to do it, and you don't all have to do it all right now. I think you're building something real, and that takes time. And you have what you have to give, and give what you can in that moment, and give yourself permission and grace to not give more. So hopefully that helps when you think about doing this, especially if you're going to be on your own. So, as an entrepreneur, I think it's easy to focus on what's next and forget to celebrate, I think, how far you've come. One of the things I've learned is that progress, not perfection, is really worth, I think, celebrating and honoring. One of the things I do is I keep a wall of post its. Here's one of them, for example, to celebrate how far I've come. And this one's called, I wrote myself a note that I'm a manifest queen, and every single time I manifest something that I wanted, I look at that note and it makes me smile, right? But things like that help really ground me and remind me the progress that I've made. I also send thank you gifts to clients or to people that I've worked with who have really made the work meaningful, just as a way to appreciate and to celebrate them. Something I did last year that I did again this year that I really loved was I wrote myself a letter in the beginning of the year, and then I asked one of my friends, to mail it to me at the end of the year. And it's a reminder for what I set out to do and how far I've come. And I just loved getting that letter at the end of the year to say, wow, look what I manifested, right? And then sometimes I might treat myself to a good meal or friends, a fun trip. I also love giving shout outs to my clients on social media because I think their success is my success. So, however you do it, I just think it's so important to pause and celebrate because you're building something worth celebrating. So, as we wrap up this course, I hope that you are walking away with more clarity on what kind of business you are trying to build, as well as why you are doing this. I hope you're walking away with more confidence in what you bring to the table and also stronger connections, not just with others, but with your own voice and path as an entrepreneur. A couple reminders, I think, if I could leave you with one is you don't have to launch everything at once. Start with one offer, one client, one relationship, right? Focus on solving a real problem, and what you define as success could and maybe should look different from everyone else's. Second is that when things don't go as planned, and they won't, ask yourself, I think, what did I learn? What would I do differently next time? I think that's the mindset that will keep you moving and going forward. Um, Third, for me, it was really important to protect time for people that I love. And I really hope that you don't let your business crowd out your life, that you're working so hard to create, right? And part of that means building real relationships with people that you're collaborating with your clients. Send them thank you notes, ask how they're doing, check in even when you're not trying to sell something. And that's the stuff that makes the work really meaningful. And then finally, I think when uncertainty hits, and it will, whether you're uncertain about yourself, about what's happening with the business, or if anything will come of it, and the thing that you're working so hard on, I think come back to all the progress you've already made. Don't forget to celebrate how far you've come, even if it feels small, because I think that it's a reminder that you're growing, you're learning, and you're still in it. Progress over perfection. So keep building what feels honest and aligned to you. And remember that you're not alone in this.